Let's be honest, there's something deeply human about digging through the dirt, chasing after pieces of the past. We're not just looking for old artifacts. We're trying to stitch together who we were, how we got here, and what the past still hasn't told us. But sometimes, what gets pulled out of the ground doesn't quite fit because when you're digging around ancient ground, well, you never know what's going to resurface. So join us for today's video as we're going to look at 15 strange items from the past that shouldn't be possible, and trust us, you won't believe number 8. Let's start off with number 15, the grooved spheres. Science tells us that man is a few million years old, and civilization is just tens of thousands of years old. But science is not always right. There is some evidence that the history of life on Earth might be far different than what current geological and anthropological texts tell us. Consider these astonishing finds. Miners working in Precambrian rock formations, dated to nearly 2.8 billion years ago, found dozens of tiny metallic spheres embedded deep inside. Roughly an inch in diameter, they weren't just naturally round, they were patterned. Each one bore 3 equidistant grooves carved cleanly around the middle. Some were hollow, filled with an unknown spongy white substance. Others were solid, with a bluish metal that hadn't been properly categorized. Nothing about them fits the timeline of life on Earth, let alone intelligent design. These spheres weren't shaped by accident, but there's no evidence of tools, no culture, no life forms around at the time that could have made them. They shouldn't exist. Yet they do. Number 14, Burqa ring. The ring, made of silver alloy and bearing a colored glass stone, is inscribed with "For2 Allahs" in Kufic Arabic and dates back to somewhere between the 8th and 10th centuries. It was found in the late 19th century inside a Scandinavian grave with the remains of a woman who died during the age of the Vikings, a long way from the Kufic Arabic-speaking Abbasid Caliphate, who oversaw vast swathes of land from Tunisia to the borders of India during this time. What makes this discovery unsettling isn't just the distance. It's the clarity of the script and the fact that no other item like it has been found in Viking territory. This wasn't scrap or a looted item tucked away in spoils. It was preserved, clean, and possibly worn. Burqa was a known trading hub, but a direct link to the Islamic world this early wasn't assumed. That one ring managed to connect 2 massive cultures across oceans and religions, and then buried itself in silence for over 1,000 years. Number 13, Venus of Willendorf. Unearthed in 1908 in the town of Willendorf, Austria, this 4-inch limestone figure doesn't answer questions, it raises them. She's rounded, abstract, and unapologetically exaggerated, especially around her hips and chest. There's no face, just braided hair or a woven cap. She's dated to somewhere between 28,000 and 25,000 BC, older than cities, writing, and even myth. Scholars often point to fertility, goddess worship, or early cultural symbolism, but nobody really knows. Not even the limestone matches the geology of Willendorf, meaning she was carried there, possibly across hundreds of miles, by people who had no written language. Calling her Venus was a modern assumption, one that ties her to Roman mythology she predates by tens of thousands of years. Some now call her Woman of Willendorf instead, but even that is a stretch. All we know is that someone carved her with purpose. She wasn't an idle doodle in stone. She meant something to someone, somewhere long gone, and she still refuses to explain herself. Number 12, Advanced Stone Age Tools. Back in 1999, just 60 kilometers outside Chennai, a quiet excavation rewrote 250,000 years of archaeological assumptions. What started with a modest dig ended in the discovery of more than 7,000 stone tools, meticulously crafted using Levallois technology. That would have been fine if they were 50,000 years old. But these, well, they were dated to 300,000 years ago. That timeline doesn't add up. This tool-making technique, long believed to have emerged much later in India, suddenly had a new origin point, one that beat previous estimates by 250,000 years. What's more, the tools were shockingly similar to those found in Africa and Europe from the same period. Some researchers speculated they were made by Homo heidelbergensis, a precursor to both Neanderthals and modern humans. No one knows how this technology reached India so early, and why the site was abandoned around 74,000 years ago remains a blank page. The more we find, the more the timeline folds in on itself. The history is weird. Number 11. Impossible fossils. Fossils, as we learned in grade school, appear in rocks that were formed many thousands of years ago. Yet there are a number of fossils that just don't make geological or historical sense. A fossil of a human handprint, for example, was found in limestone estimated to be 110 million years old. What appears to be a fossilized human finger found in the Canadian Arctic also dates back 100 to 110 million years ago. And what appears to be the fossil of a human footprint, possibly wearing a sandal, was found near Delta, Utah in a shale deposit estimated to be 300 million to 600 million years old. If even one of these is genuine, the timeline we've accepted is off by hundreds of millions of years. These aren't scattered misunderstandings. They've been studied, archived, debated, but the mainstream scientific response tends to circle around impossibility. Either the dating is wrong, the fossils are hoaxes, or the universe isn't quite as linear as we think. None of those explanations feel complete, and that's exactly the problem. Number 10. Out-of-place metal objects. Humans were not even around 65 million years ago, never mind humans who knew how to work metal. So how does science explain semi-ovoid metallic tubes dug out of 65 million-year-old Cretaceous chalk in France? In 1885, a block of coal was broken open to reveal a metal cube obviously worked by intelligent hands. In 1912, employees at an electric plant broke apart a large chunk of coal, out of which fell an iron pot. A nail was found embedded in a sandstone block from the Mesozoic era. And there are many, many more such anomalies. You can call them outliers, misinterpretations, or errors, but there are too many scattered across too many locations to brush off as coincidence. These aren't simple rusted artifacts, they're objects shaped, molded, and intentional. They show technique, purpose, possibly civilization-level thought, where civilization wasn't supposed to exist. It's not about believing in time travel or ancient astronauts. It's about the uncomfortable possibility that history is hiding more than we've dared to look for. Number 9. Shoe print in granite. This shoe print fossil was discovered in a seam of coal in Fisher Canyon, Nevada. The coal is believed to be 15 million years old. A close-up examination of the fossil reveals traces of a double line of stitches around the perimeter. It's about a size 13, and the right side of the heel appears to be more worn down than the left. There's no version of conventional history where someone should have been walking around in manufactured shoes, let alone wearing them down unevenly 15 million years ago. The stitches imply construction, not erosion. The heel wear hints at movement, not carving. So either the print is recent and the coal isn't as old as geologists believe, or we've got evidence of something no one has accounted for. A third option is fraud, and that's been suggested, but the print's consistency and composition have held up under scrutiny. There's no answer, only possibilities, and none of them sit comfortably in what we think we know. Number 8. The Guatemala Stone Head. This head was found in the 1930s by some explorers in the middle of the Guatemala jungle. Interestingly, the facial features of the statue did not resemble those of the Mayans or any of the previously known civilizations. It wasn't just unfamiliar, it was alien in the literal sense. The elongated skull, narrow jaw, and symmetrical proportions gave the impression of something not quite human. Theories came fast. Ancient astronauts, long-lost races, prehistoric visitors. Researchers argued back, suggesting it could be modern, sculpted by local artists with more imagination than history. But the statue's location, buried deep in overgrowth with no clear path in or out, raises questions about how it got there at all. The terrain around it showed no signs of recent disturbance. There are no matching sculptures or artistic styles nearby. And yet, the figure exists. If it's a hoax, it's a remarkably old one. If it's not, then it belongs to something or someone history hasn't yet recorded. Number 7. Mayan artifact of the Mexican government. The Mexican government released a few Mayan artifacts in the year 2012. According to them, they were protecting these artifacts for almost 80 years as a state secret. The items were pulled from a sealed chamber in Calakmul, one of the Maya world's most powerful cities. What made them unusual were the carvings, figures in oval-shaped crafts, beams of light, and elongated heads with wide eyes. To some, they looked like crude sketches of spacecraft. A documentary followed, sparking speculation about ancient visitors and government cover-ups. Officials insisted they weren't hiding anything, just waiting for the right time. Skeptics weren't impressed. The artifacts had no peer-reviewed verification, no published studies, and no academic support outside the documentary itself. Some suggested they were crafted recently by local artisans for dramatic effect. Still, the visual designs don't align with traditional Maya themes. Whether they're fakes, misinterpreted relics, or something else entirely, the fact remains for 80 years, someone kept them under wraps. And secrets like that always come with questions no one wants to answer. Number 6. The ancient Greek statue using a laptop sicked. Does an ancient Greek statue thought to date from 100 BC show a woman using a laptop? That's what some people argued when they saw the grave Nazcos of an enthroned woman with an attendant at the Getty Museum. The object in her hands is oddly familiar, rectangular, slim, slightly open, with 2 round protrusions on either side. It's easy to see why modern eyes went straight to laptop. A viral video took off. Comments flooded in. Suddenly, a marble grave relief became the center of a digital age conspiracy. Museum staff, of course, explained it away. A mirror, maybe a jewelry box. Nothing unusual for the period, but even the most skeptical minds had to admit the shape was uncanny. And while it's likely a coincidence, the visual resemblance reminded everyone just how much of our present is shaped by how we interpret the past. It's not a laptop. It never was, but that doesn't make it any less eerie to look at now. Number 5. Ancient springs, screws, and metal. They look like objects you'd find in any workshop or machine shop scrap bin. They are obviously manufactured. Yet this assortment of metal springs, eyelets, spirals, and other metal objects was found in layers of sediment dated up to 100,000 years old. There weren't many metal foundries in those days. Thousands were discovered in the Ural Mountains during gold mining operations in the 1990s. Some were microscopic, 1/10,000th of an inch in size, but showed symmetry, coiling, and engineering far too precise for chance. They came from depths of up to 40 feet, buried in upper Pleistocene soil. This isn't a handful of anomalies, it's a stockpile of miniature, unexplained craftsmanship found in some of the oldest sediment layers accessible. No tools of that era, no records either, can account for this level of refined metalwork. The question isn't just who made them, but how. We're left with a quiet contradiction: precision components buried in an age before tools were even supposed to exist. Number 4. Metal rod encased in stone. How can we explain a stone that appears to have formed around a mysterious metal rod? The object was found by Zilin Wang in China's Mazong Mountains, embedded in solid black rock. The rod appears machined, complete with grooves resembling modern screw threads, tightly encased in a material hard enough to resist chiseling. That's where it stops making sense. For the stone to form around the object, it would need to sit undisturbed long enough for geological processes to encase it, possibly millions of years. And yet the rod doesn't match any known ancient tooling methods. Its symmetry, threading, and uniformity point to intentional fabrication. Theories poured in: hoax, coincidence, mistaken identity. Others suggested meteorite origin, throwing extraterrestrial possibility into the mix. But without material composition breakdowns, much of the story remains speculation. No one has identified what the rod was part of, or why it was where it shouldn't be. If it's authentic, it forces a rethink on either the rod's origin or the timeline of the stone surrounding it. Number 3. Iude aluminum artifact. This 5-pound, 8-inch object of solid, nearly pure aluminum was found in Romania in 1974. Workers digging a trench along the Mureș River discovered a couple of mastodon bones and this enigmatic object, over which scientists have puzzled ever since. It stood out immediately. Not shaped like a tool, yet unmistakably engineered, its composition was almost entirely aluminum, alloyed with elements like copper and zinc. The problem is that aluminum doesn't occur in pure form naturally, and humans didn't begin producing it in any usable quantity until the 19th century. If it truly sat beside mastodon bones, then the object is over 11,000 years old. A corrosion layer on the surface was tested and dated to at least 300–400 years, which still predates aluminum smelting by centuries. It's not just about the metal, it's about the intent. This wasn't a lump. It had been shaped, built, and possibly mounted to something. What it did, who made it, and why it was buried alongside the Ice Age remains remain anyone's guess. Number 2. The Piri Reis map. This map, rediscovered in 1929 in a Turkish museum, is a puzzlement, not only for its remarkable accuracy but also for what it shows. Drawn on gazelle skin by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, it compiles geographic data from sources allegedly dating back to 300 AD. The map shows parts of South America with striking precision, but its most controversial detail lies far south. The map outlines a landmass with a jagged coastline where Antarctica should be, but Antarctica wasn't discovered until 1820. And it wasn't mapped accurately until satellite imagery in the 20th century. More confusing still, it appears to show Antarctica without its ice sheet, revealing coastal geography only visible beneath miles of ice. Geologists suggest this land hasn't been ice-free for thousands of years. If the Piri Reis map really did source earlier charts, those charts were made by someone with access to either now-lost surveying tools or aerial views that shouldn't have existed. Whether misunderstood, misinterpreted, or truly anomalous, the map's southern edge still refuses to line up with the historical timeline we've built. Number 1. The fossil hammer. This hammerhead and partial handle was found near London, Texas by two hikers, Mr. and Mrs. Hahn, in 1936. The couple was walking along near the Red Creek when they spotted a piece of wood protruding from a rock. It wasn't until about 1947 that their son broke open the rock, revealing the hammerhead inside. The metal was iron. The wooden handle fossilized at one end, but the rock it was trapped in, believed to be 110 to 115 million years old, sparked the real controversy. The design is relatively modern, resembling tools used in the 19th century. Some experts proposed the rock wasn't truly ancient but rather a concretion, a natural cementing of minerals around a more recent object. That's plausible, except for one issue. The hammer was embedded so tightly and evenly it appeared indistinguishable from the surrounding stone. If it's modern, it's one of the cleanest geological flukes ever recorded. If it's not, we're dealing with a hammer that predates the dinosaurs. If this video makes you curious, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.